Subscribe.
The Whispering Shadows. In a quiet town nestled between mountains, there stood an old abandoned house known as Blackwood Manor. For decades, townsfolk whispered tales of the family that once lived there, a family that mysteriously vanished without a trace. Some said they were taken by dark forces, while others believed they simply fled in the dead of night, leaving everything behind. Julia, a curious and adventurous young woman, decided one evening to explore the manor. Armed with nothing but a flashlight and her determination, she crossed the creaking threshold of the rotting wooden door. The air inside was thick with dust, and the floorboards groaned beneath her weight. As she stepped further inside, an uneasy feeling washed over her. The walls were lined with faded portraits, their eyes seeming to follow Julia as she moved. She shook off the sensation and wandered deeper into the manor. Suddenly, she heard a faint whisper, like the rustling of leaves in the wind. "Help us!" it called, soft and sorrowful. Julia's heart raced, but her curiosity compelled her to follow the sound. As she ascended the spiral staircase, the whispers grew louder. They echoed through the halls, a chorus of desperate voices. "Help us! Please!" The light from her flashlight flickered, as if the very atmosphere was thickening with an unseen presence. The air turned cold and she could see her breath. In a dimly lit room at the end of the hallway, a large mirror stood covered with a dusty cloth. Drawn by an inexplicable urge, Julia approached it and pulled the cloth away, revealing a tarnished surface. Instead of her reflection, she saw shadows moving within the glass, figures trapped in anguish. There were faces of the family that once inhabited the house, their mouths moving soundlessly, pleading for release. "Let us go!" one shadow mouthed, its eyes filled with despair. Julia recoiled, but her feet felt rooted to the spot. The whispering escalated, becoming a cacophony of cries begging for freedom. In a moment of sheer terror, Julia stumbled backward, knocking over a candle that ignited a pile of debris on the floor. The flames spread quickly. Still entranced, she felt a cold hand grip her wrist, pulling her closer to the mirror. "Help us!" The voices screamed in unison, their tormented faces pressing against the glass, desperate to escape. With a surge of adrenaline, Julia broke free and dashed down the stairs, the heat of the flames licking at her heels. She burst through the front door just as the building erupted behind her, flames licking the night sky. As she turned to look back, the whispers faded, replaced by the crackling of fire. But as the flames consumed Blackwood Manor, she swore she saw the faces in the mirror one last time, their mouths silently screaming, forever trapped in the reflection of a cursed home. From that day, no one dared approach the ruins of Blackwood Manor again, and on quiet nights, if you listened closely, you could still hear the faint whispers carried by the wind. "Help us!